This segment is brought to you by Jigmasters. Step up your game with high-quality performance jigs, spinner baits, buzz baits, and more from jigmasters.com. And always, when in doubt, get the jig out.
You're listening to Bass Fishing for Noobs on the Paddle and Fin podcast with your hosts Ryan Milford and Sean Lavery.
Hey, what's up, guys? It's Bass Fishing for Noobs coming back at you for the first time in 2021. I'm your host, one of your co-hosts, Sean Lavery. With me, as always, is my good friend Ryan Milford. What's up, Ryan?
What's going on, Sean? It's been a while.
Happy New Year, brother.
Yeah, you too. Did you have a good Christmas?
Yeah. I was pretty laid back with the Rona and everything, but sometimes that's nice. My wife had been asking for a couple years to have a quiet Christmas for once, and one way or another, we got it. So,
yeah, I feel you. We've been fighting with all that ourselves the past few weeks. So,
yeah, you've had a little bit of a rough go of it lately. So,
yeah.
For the kickoff of 2021, we'd like to welcome a fellow Tennessean for Ryan, Mr. John Dalton, to the show. He's he runs Creek Fishing Adventures on YouTube and Facebook, probably some other social media too, I guess. Welcome to the show, John. It's nice to meet you.
Well, thanks. I'm glad to be here.
Cool. So we'll just get started like we usually do. We'll just have you tell us a little bit about yourself, who you are, where you're from, how you got into fishing, and we'll start from there.
Yeah, I started fishing in little creeks and stuff when I was real little. We lived by this stream. And then we moved around. I was born in Kentucky, so we kind of moved from Kentucky to Tennessee. And then, I started playing basketball, so like that. And that really took up a lot of my time. And from high school and even like in my 20s, this was, basketball, maybe trucks and stuff. And then I ended up moving when I was 26. I moved from over in Clarksville, Tennessee, over here to East Tennessee. And I was like, I need a new hobby. I always fished, but I was like, I kind of started getting back into it a lot more. I met some guys that I worked with. I did heating and air. I've been doing that since out of high school. So I was fishing it whenever I had time and finding little streams, and then going different places and just having fun exploring lots of these little out of the way places and little streams and just real simple, mostly bank fishing type stuff. And then I started looking on YouTube, and I'm always that guy that's like, I wish I could have been on YouTube, or if I only had the skills for that. Those guys are so lucky. And I'm like, why don't I just start making videos? I had no idea, no experience, didn't know a single YouTuber, and I'm like, I'm just going to do it, but I'm going to do it like fishing creeks and stuff, like just small streams, a lot of ultralight, trout magnets, little lures, and just, a lot of wading and just going those places. And it took like 2 years, but after about 2 years of doing that, it really took off. Now I've been doing it for 4.5 years. Last year, that's all I did. So I'm totally living off of my YouTube income. And
wow.
Yeah, so it's like,
awesome.
What's next now? So
that's the dream job right there, man. Congrats.
Yeah. I never thought it would ever, I was like hoping to make, $100 a month to buy a new fishing pole or something like that.
Yeah.
And it just kind of, at about a year and a half, 2 years, all of a sudden just boom, a really big jump. And it's been a steady increase since then. And I just signed on my second official partnership or sponsorship, whatever it's called, starts this year. So I'm kind of starting to see how getting into that part of the YouTube thing and starting to travel more and fishing anywhere I can, really.
Neat. Awesome.
Yeah,
that's
awesome.
cool.
Yeah. And we actually got a lot more in common than I realized, besides fishing, we both live in Tennessee within probably 2 hours of one another. I'm from Kentucky originally also.
All right.
And I've been around the HVAC business all my life.
Okay.
My dad does. So
Yeah.
we got a lot in common.
Yeah.
So mostly skinny water. That's where you started to kind of stick, but do you branch out from that at all, or that's your bread and butter?
I'll do anything. I've fished the ocean a couple times, and I've gone out. I got a buddy, Tyler. He fishes Dale Hollow off his boat. So if I do any fish like that, it's up to somebody else. we went out there the other day. I caught one fish, so it didn't do too good. But mostly I stick to real simple, and I like to go these out of the way places or like little ditches where people aren't really targeting or not thinking much about it, and just enjoying anything I catch. I'm not really trophy fishing, really at all. I'm just going whatever I can catch and have fun with. And I was glad I started watching a lot of y'all stuff recently, because I am getting more into kayaking now, and I'm trying to kind of get into that, and I'm kind of figuring it out a little bit, and just I don't know. I'm sure I'll stick with mainly like small water stuff, but I'm trying to branch out and do a little bit of everything.
I was just having that conversation with online outdoorsman about how I get excited with any kind of fish I catch. If it's a creek chub, I still get excited like a 5-year-old kid, So I definitely feel you there, man. So I did see a couple of your videos. Yeah, you were on a kayak, so I was like, hey, cool. Maybe he's maybe we can bring him over to the dark side. Get him in a small plastic boat. But yeah.
So do you get your own kayak, or you've been using somebody's?
Now I bought one like 3 years ago. The first one I ever bought. It's just like a John Dalton King Sport, just regular paddle. I've had it all over the place, but and I actually I'm buying one off a friend this weekend. It's actually it's a 10-foot. I'm getting a 10-foot because I wanted to be able to travel with it, just something easy to travel around. But I'm hoping to get like a pedal drive coming up, because I've been signing up for these monthly online tournaments for the Tin Cat, and I did one meetup, and I want to start trying to do more of those, and just kind of meeting new people, and and just getting into that area of it.
Give your listeners a chance to come out and meet you in person, I guess.
Yeah, it's weird because I quit. It was last fall I quit, and I was like, I want to be like have people meet up at Bass Pros and this and that, and then COVID. And I'm like, I'm not sure what to do, but I traveled all over the place, and I have met a lot of people, but hopefully coming up more, at least local stuff, I'll be able to kind of do some local fishing and stuff like that, get together with people.
Cool. You mentioned Dale Hollow. We had our meetup down at Dale Hollow. When was that, Ryan? What month was that?
Back in October.
Mid-October.
Yeah.
So that was definitely an adventure for me. That was the farthest I've driven to fish for by far. So
yeah,
that was definitely a good time. Dale Hollow kind of humbled me a little bit, but
it humbled all of us.
It's crazy. Yeah,
it was not a good weekend for fishing. It was a entertaining weekend, but as far as fishing, it
definitely had its more comedic moments. I'll just leave it at that.
Y'all are welcome.
So when you're targeting skinny water, like you said, you're going for whatever bites, or
I'd love multi-species stuff, so I love to mix it up. I've been going more and more for like more smallmouth, as I'm really trying to really target them more, and I'm exploring a lot of creeks throughout Middle Tennessee, and that's why I'm trying to get more into kayaking, because you can float down some of these little rivers and creeks that you can just float right up on these fish, or just go through places that nobody's fishing. That's what I love about the creeks and streams. Those fish are like totally wild. It ain't like, and a lot of times they're not getting caught very often. You're going and catching some feisty, strong little fish, and I like to catch all around stuff, but I'd probably be targeting more smallmouth. And then we got a couple streams around me that are really got a lot of spotted bass in them, and I like catching those too.
Okay, how do you go about finding places to go? Just what kind of tools you use to do that?
Oh yeah, that it's just like a I don't know. It's anything that you have like a passion for. That's all I do. So even when I worked heating and air, I did service. So I'm like driving around all the places. Every time I come across a bridge, I'm like kind of marking it in my mind, and like, hey, I might come back to. I've been to so many places where even after experiencing it, I'll be like, I'll go there and be like, there's nothing there, but I'll go down there and give it a try. And you come across a deep hole that's 3 foot deep, and there's like a couple 1 pound bass in there or something like that, and just it's fun to catch that. You catch that, the biggest fish out of the hole is that king fish, and that's what's cool about targeting a lot of these small streams and stuff, is like you're getting that hungriest, biggest fish that's in there. And but yeah, I'm just always looking on Google Earth, and now I'm starting to try to track down a lot of kayaking points. So I'm looking at places, typing in places all the time on YouTube or Google, or who has there's a lot of with those kayak services and stuff that'll drop you off certain places. So that this next summer, I really plan to try to cover a lot more water and a lot more different places I haven't been. So
I need to look into that a little bit more, like where they drop you off at the top and then meet you at the bottom, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
I know they offer that on the Susquehanna a couple different places, and I've thought about it before because I usually end up, I know if I don't do that, wherever I paddle to, I got to paddle back from. And so I always got to keep that in the back of my mind. So it would be nice to definitely just do a straight float. I've done it a few times, and it's great because you don't have to worry about fighting your way back upstream at all. But
yeah, I've thought about doing that down here because there's a couple places on Duck River. Well, several of the rivers, but in particular for me, since I'm so close, there's a couple places here on Duck River that do that. That'll shuttle you. The only thing about that is these places are shuttling like hundreds of people a day.
Oh, really?
So
oh my gosh!
You got a ton of people floating down through there while you're trying to fish. It's probably not
especially if you want to do it on a weekend or something like that, or if it's nice. But yeah, I did a couple, and it was kind of getting close to winter, so there wasn't a lot of people out, but the fishing wasn't as great. But I'll find a river like the Elk River or something like that, and I'll just type Elk River kayak or canoe and see what pops up. And there's all kinds of places I've been finding about, even within like an hour or two from me, that I didn't know were there.
That's cool.
I'm still trying to get like a buddy, and we'll do like a put in and a pull out. come on down. But like, because there's spots that I don't feel like are going to be heavy traffic where we could put in at one spot and pull out in the other. But
tell me when you want to do Duck River, because
let's do it.
I've been wanting to do that one, and I've been hearing a lot about it here recently, or last year, and I still haven't had a chance to do it. And that's the thing; it's a lot of those. I don't know what the flow is like, but a lot of them, if you can't do them paddling and paddling back up, it's just so much work. Like if you don't have two people, you can't really do a lot of stuff. It's
right now, it's moving good, and all the big time fishermen up here in this area, like Josh Stewart and all them that love the Duck River, they say now's the best time to get out there. Like whenever it's like flooded and it's almost dangerous to be on there. I don't know. They say that's the time to get out there where you always. Like last year when I interviewed Josh Stewart, he said that pretty much every time him and his buddies go out there, they catch a 20-incher. Somebody.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
But I did it. So this was my first year really messing with it. And I did it some this summer whenever it was like calmer. And I took my Jackson Bite FD out there. It was a pedal drive. And, I was able to pedal upriver a good bit and float back. But, it's I never the times that I've hit Duck River, I haven't skunked yet. Knock on wood.
Yeah, that's what I feel like when I'm fishing. If I'm fishing flowing water, I'm gonna catch something. There's gonna be something hungry. It's whenever I'm trying to go out in lakes and do stuff more, and I just have no confidence. But that's something I've been trying to do during the winter time. Because a lot of the streams I fish around here, coming out of the mountains here in East Tennessee, that you can't catch anything out. They get so cold. I can't get anything out of them. But
they have trout there? Because I thought trout liked cold.
Yeah, some of them have trout. A little bit more north. A lot of them, but usually they start stocking it about this time of year. They'll start stocking it through spring, and that's when you can really catch them.
Okay.
You see, I've been kind of cheating the past probably couple months or so. Whenever I have gotten out. I've been going, little local place. It's basically like a small pond, and the water's low in it right now, and there's only like maybe like a 2-acre area that's like the deep part, and all the rest of it's kind of shallow. So, I'm just working that deep part with an underspin and a swim bait the whole time. I ain't having to go very far, but I've had some decent luck out of it. Caught
Do you all
my
have
new PB.
trout season down there? You did get a heck of a PB. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, that was nice. Oh, I haven't even talked about it on here yet, have I?
I guess not, because that one we recorded didn't make it. So you're gonna have to tell the story and pictures.
Yeah. Well, it actually showed a picture of it in the intro.
Oh yeah.
Going on here, but yeah, I caught a new PB. It was 23-inch largemouth. We didn't have a scale, but we're guessing it to be about 8 pounds. It was thick, and man, working that underspin and that swim bait, and I didn't really feel a bite. I just felt pressure on that line, and so I set the hook, and man, I was reeling so hard, and it took me a while to get it up to me. I went to net it, and I couldn't get it in the net, and I had to sit the net down and readjust the pole in my hand and then net it. But I ended up getting it, and one of my buddies was jealous, and
Yeah.
But I would have been too. But man, that was awesome. And the crazy part is I caught it on a rod that I got at Walmart that was on sale for $15. I put one of my reels on it. The only reason why I'm using this rod is because it's the right action and everything that I wanted, and I don't have a better rod with that action, so I was using it. But it handled great. And, I've caught a couple other decent fish off of it now, too.
It's going to be your favorite rod now.
Yeah, I know, right? Well, it goes to show you ain't got to have no hundreds of dollars of rods to get out here and catch some fish.
Right. I was going to ask, too, about like the kind of the small water. I know one of the advantages, at least that I've heard about kayaking, is that you don't have to worry about property so much because the water is not private property. But if you have to walk to get to the water, you have to worry about, what kind of private property you're crossing. Is that true in Tennessee? I know it's kind of true in Pennsylvania.
Yeah, that's from what I've talked to several people about it, and I don't know if I think it's on rivers too, but pretty much if it goes through private property, as long as you float over it, you're fine. If you touch the ground, you're technically on their property. Mm-hmm. If they get picky, there's a lot of places. If you start looking around, I go to places all over Tennessee that are technically private property, but everybody and their brother goes there, and you can see the trails. And it's one of those things like everybody just does it. And unless then you can find people that got posted signs every which way, and that's ones you want to stay away from for sure. But yeah. So that's why there's a couple of creeks in Middle Tennessee that are awesome. They're some of the best smallmouth fishing, and I know that no one's fishing them because you cannot get access to it. And I've been trying to figure out a way to kayak them, but there's like one bridge like 20 miles down from another bridge. I'm like, one of these days I'm just going to take off and go.
Just going to have to do like a 2 or 3 day trip.
I'm just going to sleep in my kayak, I guess, or something. Yeah. But I've been getting more and more into like just pushing myself to go further and like I want to go where no one else is going. These kind of places and stuff. It makes it a little more fun, and like I said, those fish are just even more wild.
I was going to say you run into fish that just haven't seen a lure, so they're going to hammer anything you throw in front of them. That's awesome. So, oh man, that makes me want to go out and try that right now. So,
zero skepticism.
What was I going to ask about? I was going to ask about trout season. You were saying, do you guys have a trout season, or is it once they stock, you're good to go?
Oh no, it's year round. You have to get a trout stamp, but you can fish them year round. And the TWRA does a good job of. There's actually, you can get on their website and they stock them. They stock a lot of trout. Mostly, well, I guess it's all through Tennessee, but the ones in the East Tennessee mountains, they're the only ones that will stay live all year. Mm-hmm. They'll stock them a lot of places in towns throughout Tennessee and little public ponds and stuff like that. But the ones up here near me, and there's a lot of them a little bit north, there are a lot of wild fish that are in they're native. They'll stay there all year. And there's no season on them, but there's a different a few different places it's catch and release only, and some places you can catch and take home, and then there's just a size limit. But there's a couple streams near me that there's wild like rainbow trout, but you're gonna get like a 6 or 8 inch one, and they're all wild in there. And there's some, of course, up north, a little bit north, there's a lot of wild brown trout, like the Watauga River and stuff like that. And I tried that the other day, and it was rough. I saw all kinds of big old ones in there. I could not get them. And I was trying to fly fish too, so it was getting aggravating. But there's a lot of places where people catch some nice stuff.
I know in Pennsylvania, we I think hopefully I don't get this wrong, or I'm going to get lit up on social media. But we definitely have a season where we're not allowed to fish trout, and I believe it starts the new year. So right now we couldn't if I wanted to. Now I don't know how if you go fishing for smallies in a creek, you say, well, I'm not going to target trout, and hope they don't bite. I don't know how that goes, but usually, early spring we have the trout opener. I think it's sometime in April. So for between now and April, we can't really target trout for the most part. So you guys are definitely lucky down there.
Well, what you were just saying, there was up here, like he said, you got to have a trout stamp.
You do in PA too. Yeah. Yep.
It's so last year, I think it was January, I had jury duty, and afterwards I got out, and there's like a little park with a creek running through it up here. But yeah, I was fishing it for bass, and TWRA agent came up to me and was talking to me, asking what I was fishing for and everything. And he's like, "You got your trout stamp?" I was like, "No." He's like, "Well, this is where we release trout." He's like, "Well, if you catch one, just make sure you let it go."
I guess that's one way to do it. You're kind of freezing up on me, Ryan, a little bit. You getting any lag on your end?
On my back?
Now I can hear you. Yep.
Okay. Yeah.
Your video was frozen there for a bit, but I think you're good now.
Yeah, I lost it. What did y'all hear?
You said the TWA or the game warden dude stopped you and said if you catch one, put it back.
Yeah.
I don't know that the PA guys would be that forgiving.
Yeah, I mean, what can they do though? If you say I'm targeting this and your lure is something that people use to target a certain thing, I mean, if something accidentally bites, I mean, how many different species have you caught bass fishing? I've caught several. I've caught bluegill. I've caught
absolutely
crappie. I've caught catfish. I've caught drum. I mean, all kinds of stuff. I mean, it happens. So that's my opinion. It could be different up there. I feel like they're not going to give you too much crap if you're throwing it back.
Yeah, I see some people argue about that, and because there's certain areas that are like designated trout fishing areas, but you can also fish for other stuff. But I don't know. I was actually, the same thing happened. I was fishing this one spot, and the game warden came up, and he's like, "What are you fishing for?" I'm like, just bluegill, whatever. And he just checked my license and left. And later, I realized that was a trout fishing area. I didn't even know it. But
yeah, I was going to say, I would think if you're fishing for panfish, a trout is going to hit anything a panfish, like a bluegill or even a crappie would hit.
No, well, I've caught like little crappie jigs. I've caught trout on those and worms. If you're fishing with worms like that, or actually, my biggest trout was on a full size spinnerbait bass fishing.
Oh,
and it was in a river up here off the mountains that I didn't even know there was trout in it. It was in a spring, and it was like a 3 or 4 pound rainbow trout hit the spinnerbait.
Wow!
I had no idea it was even in there, but yeah, it's funny to see what all you can. Yeah, sometimes like there's all these technical ways to catch different things. That's another reason. Like I started my channel. I don't know. Sometimes almost at a jab, kind of at like a lot of these big time bass fishing people. Like this is how you got to do it. I'm like, there's a million ways to do fishing and catching different things.
At the end of the day, it's a wild creature. It's gonna eat. So
yeah.
And you were talking about fishing places where you catch wild fish, and sometimes especially trout, the wild trout are beautiful. Like the markings and stuff on them, they're just not like the the stocked ones. So I know I've caught a couple of brown trout that were tiny but were absolutely beautiful. The markings on them. So that's definitely another reason why I think it's cool to kind of go out and explore those places where people just don't take the time or the effort to track down. So
yeah, I don't do quite as much trout fishing because I feel like they're just so delicate and sensitive. And like every time I do a video, people give me so much grief. You didn't handle that right. You didn't do this right. Blah,
you
blah,
didn't
blah.
wet your hands.
Yeah. I was like, I forgot. And then there's a lot of places where they're just stocked so heavily. I went with a couple friends and you could just like catch them one after another. I mean, it was all right for like a little while, but I'm like, there's not much challenge into it. So I don't know. I tend there, even though there's a lot of trout ring, I tend not to go for it that much. I'll just do it every once in a while.
Yeah, I don't do it much either. I usually go the week it opens. I usually go a couple times, and then enough with that. I'm going to go bass fishing.
Yeah. So you were saying earlier that whenever you decided to get into YouTube, you really had no experience. Did you have any experience with any type of video editing at all, or anything like that?
No. So what happened when I moved here? I'd sold my house back in Middle Tennessee, and I moved in an apartment. So I had a little bit of money saved from selling it, and it was like so I bought. I was like, "This is what I'm gonna do. I decided just to do it. I'd been talking about it for like 6 months to like start making these videos. Like I'm gonna do it. So I bought a camera and a laptop. And I didn't have a laptop. Didn't have any kind of camera. I didn't realize I probably could use my phone more. But and I bought like just the cheapest GoPro, and started searching. Started watching more videos on it, searching like website or editing stuff, and I purchased Filmora Wondershare. Like seemed like a pretty simple thing to do. 50 videos in before I really get the hang of it. But yeah, so I never did anything of that. I'm the last guy that would probably be. If people think that I'm editing videos and uploading and talking to the camera and stuff like that. So it was all totally new. Just something I was like, just one of those things I was like, I want to try this, see what happens. And I'll figure it out. I figured if I see all these other guys out there doing it, you see all these I'm like, if that guy's getting 100,000 views, I can get 10,000 views maybe. So,
yeah, see, that right there is why I can't do YouTube, is because I can't talk to the camera. I've tried it, like practice it or whatever. It's awkward. And like I went out fishing with JL Folks before all the like the Del Hollow trip and everything. And the first time we went out together, he's like doing his intro over here. I'm over here fishing, and he gets done. I'm like, how long does it take for that to quit being awkward? He's like, it's always awkward.
Especially when someone else sees you doing it.
That'd be my fear. Is somebody's over on the bank listening to me, like, look at that idiot right there talking to himself. Like, ain't nobody watching your videos.
Yeah, it's really weird. I'm always like looking around, like, okay, nobody's around. Let me start this. I've made over. I just made like my 450th video.
Wow.
So it's obviously you get adapted and what's crazy about it, like I didn't think that you always hear about people starting YouTube channels and stuff like that, but what you have to have is you just have to want to do it. Like when I started doing it, I was like, I'm gonna do I'll do 10 maybe. And then see how this goes. Then the next thing I'm like, this is kind of fun, and it's, I did it for 2 years without, making really anything, it's all just because, that's what, and then just to see how it grows, like, hey, I got a couple more views on that one. Hey, this worked a little bit better, and then what happened was like, I just get more and more into fishing too, because I'm pushing myself to fish more, try more lures, try doing more things. And, and now I just keep learning stuff all the time and just keep doing new things. Like, so many times. Yeah. At
what point did you really think, wow, I finally made it? What was the switch that made you think, hey, I can quit my job, and do this as my living?
There was I can't remember. It like I said, it was right at. It took me over it was like almost 2 years before I got 1,000 subscribers. I was like, if I looked back at myself, I would have quit a long time earlier because I just didn't know anything. I didn't know that like what people were doing. I was like, 300 people watching my videos. That's pretty cool, And it is. It's amazing you can get that many people to watch it, and then to just see it grow and grow. And then I'm at like 4,000 or 5,000 subscribers, and I got like 2 or 3 months in a row where I made like $200-300. I'm like, this is pretty cool. And then in like 2 months, it went from like 5,000 to like 15,000. It just jumped. I had a bunch of views on a lot of videos. One of those things. It hasn't happened like that again. And then like went from 1 month making like $200-300 to the next month I made like $3,000. Wow. I was like, my goodness. And that was the first time I was like, I could quit my job eventually. And it kind of just, it didn't stay at that. It went way back down. But I was like, I know what it can get up to. I know what can happen. That was the first time I'd ever really thought about it. And then it was like 6-8 months later, I'm like, I'm going to do it. I'd saved up all my YouTube money. I just saved that money. I didn't do anything with it really. And I quit my job. And so I had like $15,000 saved up. I was like, I'm going to, hopefully my income will catch up, and I'm just going to like survive off this, see what happens. I got a cheap house payment, and no kids, nothing like that. So I'm like, what's the worst that could happen? Have to go back to work again, Yeah. So and it's been a year and 3 months, and like I said, I'm starting to make a little bit more income from different things. And the YouTube staying steady, where it's just a steady growth to it, and I'm able to. I just got back from Texas, so I did like a little week trip there, and about once a month I try to do a 4 or 5 to 7 day trip. So I'm being able to afford those kind of things, just trying to get by, and maybe it'll take off again. There's guys out there making millions, so it could easily double or triple this year. So I'm just gonna ride it until I get bored or I can't afford it. So.
What would you say is your most popular videos? I apologize. I probably should have did a little more research. No. I've watched a ton of your videos, but I don't know. I didn't look to see which ones had the most likes or anything.
It's crazy because like several of the like most popular ones are ones that are. I feel it took me like an hour and a half to film. It was just like a spur of the moment. Hey, I'm gonna fish this little area, do a quick little intro, see what I don't even know if anything's gonna come of it. I do catch fish, and a lot of times I'll catch like a surprise, like 3-pound bass in this little stream or something like that. And I got a couple like that. I got like 500,000-600,000 views. But my favorite videos are some of the Middle Tennessee smallmouth fishing. I've been able this year. I had really set on doing several that I'm like, I want like well done video showing like Tennessee area, showing the stream, showing what you can catch. And I had a few where I went out and caught some pretty good smallmouth. Like a 3-4 hour wading trip. Those did pretty good. And that's something I really want to try and do some more on. But some of my videos, I feel like with my best days is like the worst views. And I don't know. I can't figure it out.
When we had JL on here, he basically said the same thing. He's like, I put out these videos where I'm catching like a lot of fish and big fish, whatever. The videos that I feel like should be popular don't hardly get any views. But then these little rinky-dink videos that I throw out there that I don't feel are that great are the ones getting the high views.
Yeah, it's the whole. I mean, people obsess over it. I've been meeting a lot more YouTubers and like I'm not trying to get out there, but just because I'm getting a little bit notoriety, whatever it's called. But I've been starting to meet a lot more people, so I'm starting to like hear from different guys like what they're trying to do, and I meet so many that all they're focused on is just like how make sure I have the right thumbnail, make sure I have the right title, I have the right keywords, and most of the time I really don't even. I mean, I'll try to do a decent thumbnail and like put in something that looks exciting, but I hardly put any effort into that. I'm just like, if people are gonna watch it, they're gonna watch it. But I feel like the main thing that gets like consistent views is like just a picture of like some beautiful water, like some clear water or something like that. Or like a really small stream. That does well with my audience. Like I can hold up a big fish, something like that, and I'll get like no views. But if I put like a little bitty stream, like I guess the people that are on my channel kind of grown accustomed to that. They're like, oh, I'm gonna watch that. What's in there?
Yeah, because you never know what you can pull out. That was the first thing that a buddy of mine, Dwayne Sudeth, is the one who turned me on to your channel. And as I started watching, I'm like, I saw you see like the fish that you pull out of some places, and I'm like, holy cow, I need to carry a rod with me more often because I pass those kind of places all the time. So.
Yeah, that's what I love hearing. I hear back people nonstop. They're like, you know what? There's this little stream behind my house. I never thought about trying it until I watched your video. I went down there and caught 7 bluegill and 6 bass in about 20 minutes. Or they catch something. I'm like, it's just pure. It's just excitement. You just go down there expecting nothing, and if you get a fish, it's like that was fun.
Right. You throw your line in there expecting nothing, and then all of a sudden you start feeling that tug, and you're like, holy crap, there's something in there.
Yeah.
So awesome. What would you say is like your favorite like kind of lure to throw? Do you throw mostly live bait or more lures or mix it up or?
Yeah, I do mostly. I mean, pretty much all lures now because a lot of what I like to do, I like to move. Or if I'm walking a bank or waiting, I'm moving pretty quick. So I like to kind of just move and cast. And I'm just gonna take like one fishing pole and a little wading bag, and I'm just gonna like start walking and start casting. This little lure here, I know you got some people aren't gonna be able to see it. It's a little crick hopper.
Yep.
And that's a lure that I picked up a couple years ago, and I started fishing with it. And it's so fun to fish with. It's so fun to see the fish hit at it. And you're coming up to this little small stream, and I'm like pitching in there, and they're just like 3 or 4 fish racing to get to it. And they're nothing but 6-7 inches long, but it's always like it's just exciting to see them catch it. And this lure I've gone to a lot for bass. It kills it in the creeks and stuff. It's a Helgermite. This is made by Nico, and the material on this one's like super strong.
Oh, wow!
But
yeah, I actually have a couple of those.
Oh, do you?
I've got something similar to that.
Oh.
Yeah.
The Nico ones are damn near indestructible.
Oh, yeah,
though. Yeah. You can't tear that if you wanted to.
Yeah, that Nico reached out to me, or they sent me stuff way back. Like when I didn't even have 1,000 subscribers, they sent me some stuff to try, and I had this lure for like 6 months and never tried it. As I'm learning stuff, and then I start fishing with it one day, and I just start catching fish, and it works so good, especially for like creeks and streams. They just almost any bass, especially the smallmouth, they'll bite that thing and they'll just hold on to it. They usually just swallow it almost. They're just like taking it. And I finally figured out a few little things. I'm definitely no expert. I've been watching some of your videos. I'm watching the guy on the spinner baits, and I'm like soaking that in. I'm like, what do I need to do? How do I do? That's something I want to get better at. But it's fun to just go out there, and that's why I'm not good at, but I like going to streams with clear water, because you can watch the fish's reaction, and that's how I learned. I'm like, okay, what did this fish do? How did it do that? And okay, now I'll translate that to bigger places where I can't see the fish and things like that. But yeah, there's a few different lures I like, but a lot of times I'm throwing, if it's a real small stream, I'm just going like a 4-pound line and throwing some couple little bitty lures or little, Bobby Garland, something like that, and just you can catch 7 different species, out of the same little stream.
How do you rig the Neko Helgermite? Like just weightless on a wide gap hook, or?
Now, well, I just started doing this. I was just doing like a Ned rig style, but okay. you get hung up, which it worked fine. This right here is a 1/10 ounce. This is the Z-Man. I don't know if you can see it. The Z-Man Bullet Z, I think. I just found out about like a couple months ago. I don't know if it's been out for a long time or what, but I can basically rig it weedless, and with just it's on a jig head, so I'm just sinking it and kind of just twitching it, barely letting it sink. And most of the time, if a fish sees that thing falling, they're just going to go over and pick it up. And a lot of times they'll just pick it up real calm. I hardly ever have them like just hammer it. They just go over and they suck it in. And I've watched it happen over and over in little streams where I'm watching that fish and he just sucks it in, and I just set the hook on him. I never feel anything. But yeah, that one, I like usually just a little bit of a weight, 1/10 or 1/15 ounce, sometimes like 1/20 ounce. If it's real shallow or something like that.
Okay.
Man, I'd love to be able to do that kind of fishing, like the little lure, just go out there and wear out a bunch of fish. But Sean knows I hate spinning gear.
Oh yeah,
I hate using it, and It makes it hard.
I can't use I can barely use a bait caster, and that's why I never used one growing up. I didn't grow up in a fishing family or anything. I just kind of fished here and there, and I finally caught my first fish. Actually, my first fish on a bait caster was a 6-pound largemouth.
Wow!
Out of this tiny pond, my biggest bass ever caught.
See, that's because bait casters are dominant.
Oh,
So
here we go.
Yeah, I'm trying to learn a little bit, trying to get better at it, and just so if I go with somebody else, I can use theirs or something like that. But most of the time, all I use is spinning gear, like ultralight to medium. Maybe I got like one medium heavy rod, but most everything I do is like finesse style light fishing.
And you mostly run light line, like 4-pound, 6-pound. What range?
I've gone over to braid. That's just like I don't know. I'll get this thing, and that's like I'll switch everything to that. So I've been using like 10, 12-pound braid a ton recently with like a 8 to 10-pound or fluorocarbon leader, something like that. And just because, especially obviously I know y'all have used it, but like especially you're fishing in these streams or on a kayak. You want to set that hook and get that fish really quick, or just, don't have so much slack in there. And it's really been helping me. I feel like hooking up with more fish, just getting a better hook set. But if I'm fishing like the Crook Hub or something, like 6-pound, 4-pound, usually I just use like mono or something, like some cheap line. And sometimes I got a couple setups with 2-pound line that I use like trout magnets and real small things, and almost like micro fishing style, but I got a video. It's half a mile down the road. It's a little bitty ditch, and I got 100,000 views on this video. And I'm catching green sunfish, and I think a couple creek chubs or something in there. Just like tiny little things. And then I stuck the camera underwater, and the water is a foot deep, 3 foot wide. There was like 100 fish in that little hole. It's amazing, and it's one of those videos. I'm like, see. This is what you drive by every day. There's little places like this. There's, some people can care less about catching that kind of fish, and I get a lot of comments like that, like, "All you catch is tiny fish." I'm like, yeah. So
some people just want to go out there and catch fish, though.
Yeah,
they don't care what size they are or what kind they are. So
I'm good.
We have the same thing. I have a little creek right by my house. Sometimes when I take my dog for a walk, I'll take my little 5-foot trout rod with 2-pound test on it. And I started throwing Neko makes a wax worm, and it looks just like a real wax worm, and just a little tiny like mule jig or something real light, and just chuck it in there, and I can almost always just pull creek chubs out of there like crazy. So, and the dog doesn't seem to mind. He likes to watch me. So
I just used that lure the other day. I caught a bunch of trout on it, and Blue Ridge, Georgia. I'd switched to it, and it was just letting it sink. And they were picking it up, and I couldn't get them to hit nothing else.
And I like it because normally if you're using real wax worms, you kind of go through them pretty quick, but that's made of that Neko stuff, and it just doesn't tear, so you can use it over and over and over again.
Oh yeah.
Cool. Ryan, you got anything you wanted to cover or anything?
No. We're gonna have to get together sometime though, since we're so close, and put me on some of those little creeks of yours. I might have to borrow a spinning rod. I've got spinning rods, and I don't use them much.
What about couple people been telling me about like ultralight bait casting stuff. Like, have you heard about that or got into that? Or
I haven't got into it. We talked to a guy a little bit about that right there. I haven't looked too much into it. But yeah, I definitely need something like that.
Ethan from Online Outdoorsman, he's the one I've seen.
Yeah, that's who we talked to.
Yeah.
And he throws that BFS. I forget what it stands for, but it's basically a ultra lightweight bait caster, like a tiny one. So, and he seems to wear him out on it. So, when I looked at the price of it, I was like, nah, I don't need a little spinning rod or bait caster that much. I can use a spinning rod for that.
How much was it?
I forget how much. It was in the hundreds. So I was like, no.
There's got to be a knockoff out there, though.
They should come out with something cheaper, I'm sure, coming up. It's amazing what the stuff, how it drops just year to year. The quality, they keep coming out with newer stuff.
And like Ryan said, you don't always need crazy expensive stuff to catch nice fish. Obviously,
I mean,
I got to keep reminding myself of that because I tend to spend a lot of money, waste a lot of money.
I think we all do.
Yeah.
But like I said, that rod, I had a decent reel on it, but that rod was like $15 at Walmart on sale. My last PB before that was on this like garage sale special rod with a Boo Garcia Black Max that I bought used for $20. So I mean, I don't know. I guess I tend to catch my bigger fish on my cheaper gear or something. I don't know.
Do you have, John? Do you have gear that you go with, or a brand, or anything that you stick with, or you're kind of all over the place?
I'm definitely all over the place, but I am. I do have a deal. I got to. It's supposed to come up for renewal here, but PC Fin. I don't know if you heard of them. They're online only, and I love their stuff. I got a few here, but I do use a lot of. I've got several stuff given to me for free, and I still buy stuff all the time. I just can't stop trying other things. I'm like, well, that looks good. Well, that looks good. Well, I wonder what that feels like. I don't know. I keep thinking I'm going to find like the perfect setup. And I'm like, well, I don't like the handle on this one. I don't like this. I start nitpicking the littlest things now. Where when I first started, I had like those $9 Shimano rods at Walmart, like the cheapest one you get, and like a fluke or a reel, and I just caught all kinds of fish. And now I'm throwing like a $200 setup. I'm like, but it's funny the way you evolve, I guess, and just want to get better because obviously if you fish all the time, it does make a difference, and stuff like that. But it doesn't take much to catch a fish. Like I don't know how many times I've taken a kid fishing and they end up catching the biggest fish. I'm like, how did you catch that? You have no idea what you're doing. But sometimes
that beginner's luck there.
Yeah.
I started with all ugly sticks, so and the nice thing about those is they're darn near indestructible as well. So
yeah.
But that was one lesson that I had to learn painfully, is that I definitely can't treat my nicer rods like I treated my ugly sticks, because they're not quite as tough. But
and that might be why I've been so successful with that cheap rod, is because I don't mind tossing it around or whatever. Where the better ones, I'm like, okay, let me just give it a cast here, be gentle with it. Don't want to. I don't know. I'm pretty rough on. Man, when was it? I think it was that last tournament I did or something. Man, I reared back to cast, and my lure caught something on the back of my kayak, and man, it could have been really bad, but luckily it wasn't too bad. So, what
kayak tournament are y'all in? This is something I'm really trying to learn a lot about, like all these different. I don't know what they're called. All the different ones out there, clubs or whatever.
The ones local to me that I fish is Cumberland Kayak Trail, and then I've been trying to do some stuff with KBFTN, and I don't know about this year yet, between work picking up a little bit and us starting to work weekends again, and then the kids will probably be in sports again this year. Last year they got canceled, so I was able to do a little more, but this year they'll probably be doing it, so I'll be at ball field on the weekends. So I don't know what I'm going to get to do.
Well, and then I'm kind of the same way. I haven't done much at all, really. There's a Kayak Anglers of Central PA that I belong to, and usually do a couple of theirs. And last year, on our channel, we ran a Noobs tournament for just people getting in. It was like real cheap to get in, and every month you could, it's just the most number of fish you could, the biggest 5 fish you could catch, and it didn't really matter where you were fishing or whatever. But so I did that each month, and that was nice because that really got me out on the water way more than I probably would have otherwise. So.
Yeah, I feel like that helped a lot of people too. Like, just kind of learn the process of kayak tournaments, measuring the fish and all that.
And we saw definitely people pick it up quicker than, like, I was getting hammered right away. I'm like, hey, I'm supposed to be like,
We're the main noobs here, okay? Y'all need to settle down.
They're like putting up 90 inches and stuff. I'm like, whoa, slow down there, Bobs.
I'm trying to push myself into doing more of that, and I started signing up on the 10 cat one. They're more northeast Tennessee, but I know a couple of guys from Knoxville area, so I fished with them. So I jumped in on that, and I know nothing about it, and then I'm starting to trying to find all these different ones. I'm like, man, there's all kinds of them out there, and
really
I'm getting a lot of and of course Tourney X and all that. So I started doing. I did like 3 or 4 online ones, and I'm like, oh man, I'm gonna go out here and fish all the time, and then I go out like 2 times a month. I'm like, what? I still hardly go out there. But I see these guys. Yeah, you'll see they're like 100 inches. I'm like, how many times did he go out and fish? I bet he fished. You're like trying to justify it, or I'm like, did he just go out one day and catch all those fish, or did he go out like 7 times? And but I have a hard time just like sticking with it. Like I'll go out. I got the Parksville Lakes pretty close to me, and I'll go out for like about 3 hours in. I'm like, oh my goodness, I've been out here for 7 hours. I'm like, no. So the first meetup I did with the 10 cat on Chilhowie, and there were some other guys, YouTubers and stuff like that into it, and I the first I caught a fish. It was 18 3/4 when I first started. Looked at the time; it was a minute before we were supposed to start.
Oh,
I was like, wow. I was like, I didn't even think about like when you're supposed to start and all this stuff, and then I'm in my stupid kayak, and this wind is blowing like crazy in the afternoon. And I quit an hour early because I'm just so sick of the wind blowing around. This kid comes by on his, I think it was like a Hobie or something like that, and he's just pedaling right by me into the wind like it was nothing. I was like, I got to upgrade my kayak. That's my next thing. It's like I can't be doing all that, and it takes forever to cover water and everything. So, yeah, I used to make fun of all these guys with like these nice kayaks and stuff. Now I'm like, I see why you need it, and see the fun of it too. For it's a whole different type of tournament thing, and just a whole different field. So that's my thing, is try to get more familiar with kayaks and get better ones and start to see what all I need, have it set up right.
Sounds like a plan.
It's definitely fun once you start getting into it. Yeah. You catch some big fish in a kayak and let it drag you around a little bit. That really gets you addicted to it.
Yeah, the last y'all know anything about Parksville Lake over here? It's over here near me. It's a small lake. It's a Coe River system. It's super clear water. And the last time I went out, it was like 3 weeks ago, and I cast, and a muskie hits at the kayak as I'm picking my spinner out of the water. And they'd stocked them like 4 years ago, and they're finally gotten grown. I was like, that was crazy. I'm like, I watch guys like Indiac Angler and people like that, and they're like handling muskie like it's nuts. I'm like, I don't even know how to handle this thing. What do I do? But
it's a pike.
It broke me off. It dove under this tree that it was on, and I'm like, I don't even know how I would have handled it. Or I'm like, I got to learn things like that. Like I don't even. So,
I remember watching Catherine Field catch. I don't know if it was a muskie or a pike, and she's like, I don't know what to do. Somebody message me and tell me what to do.
You got to keep fish grips on the kayak just for that reason.
Well, the first time I caught a walleye, I didn't realize it was a walleye, and I went to lip it, and I was like, wait a second, nope, I'm not going to do that.
Well, that big drum that I caught, I'd never caught a drum before, and so I was looking at his mouth to make sure it didn't have teeth before. Because I don't know, I've never caught a drum, So I didn't have my fish grip, so I'm like, does this thing got teeth before I go sticking my thumb in here? And those are nasty fish.
They got the weirdest mouth too.
It's
crazy.
It's gross. You want to go take a shower after you're touching that thing.
Yeah, that's when I went to. I did my first like saltwater fishing, and everything I'm catching, I'm like, they're little fish. And I'm like, can I touch it? Is it gonna sting me? What? I don't know anything about anything, so it's what's fun. Like, and that's why I've been able to travel around and just see all these different types of fish everywhere. And there's so many different types of fish out there that you don't even know about or you don't even think about. So like that, it's wild.
Yeah, we were down in North Carolina surf fishing, and we were catching stingrays. And It was actually my my niece's husband. I'm not sure what that makes him to me, but we call it a Stingray, and he picked it up and he's playing around with it, and I'm like, oh, cool. So the next one I picked up and I'm playing around with it. We did it for like, well, he caught 10 stingrays, and we're showing them people on the beach. They're like, oh wow, that's really neat. And sure enough, the 11th one was like the jerk one, and he stung me. I was like, my finger like swelled up. I'm like, is this bad? Should I be worried? Am I going to lose my finger? But it just burned like heck for about an hour, and then it went away. But I was like, I better be careful what I'm touching and playing around with here. So,
all right.
Well, go ahead, Ryan.
I was gonna say, you got you want to shout out like your social media and your sponsors and all that real quick?
Yeah, I'm on Instagram, Facebook, but my main platform obviously is YouTube, where I do my stuff, just creek fishing adventures, and I PCFin. They don't have a lot of stuff, but they got really good quality for a really good price. It's just through online only, and then I just signed with Pradco, and they own Rebel and Yum and Bobby Garland, and it's that's what's crazy though, because that's the lures I started out fishing with. Never had any idea I'd be getting paid to fish with them now, stuff like that. So I really appreciate their stuff like that. Nico sent me a lot of stuff, and I get stuff sent from I appreciate all my fans and everything, and people that support me and stuff like that, which is crazy. Of course, I'm gonna thank the Lord for giving me this opportunity to do what I'm doing, and that's the thing I love about my being out on YouTube and doing whatever you want to do. I try to put Bible verses and talk about Christian stuff and stuff every once in a while, just that's who I am, and I want to express that and stuff like that. So I appreciate being able to get to do that, and I get to do something like this, being on a call with y'all guys, and that's pretty cool doing things like this. So it's I'm thankful for what I've gotten, and I'm hopefully just be able to use it to help other people and encourage people. And so many times I've heard recently, like people like especially through COVID, like I'm glad we have somebody to watch, something that's not, political or something like that, which it just can drive you crazy. Yeah. So I'm like, well, I never realize I was able to be a help, I guess, call it to certain people that are just looking for something to watch and enjoy and things like that. But
well, awesome, man. Appreciate you coming on here and, talking with us here. For our listeners, we're glad to be back. And I want to apologize for not coming back when we're supposed to come back. We had a what's the word I'm thinking of, Sean? A technical difficulty.
A snafu.
Yeah, our episode that we did ended up getting recorded and couldn't be recovered. So so we're coming out the week afterwards. But we're back in full swing now, and hopefully no more snafus. And so this has been the Bass Fishing for Noobs segment on the Paddle and Fin podcast, bringing you the techniques, tricks, and tips to help you rip more lips. Later, guys.
Thank you, guys.
Thanks for tuning in to another killer episode on Paddle and Fin. Don't forget to go check out our website at paddle_and_fin.com. Don't forget to check out the YouTube channel at Paddle and Fin. If you got a question, comment, want to hear from a future guest on a future episode, feel free to email us at paddle_and_fin@gmail.com. Don't forget to follow us on social media at Paddle and Fin on Facebook and Instagram. Shout out to our show supporters, Angler. The Angler button and app just makes for a better time on the water and creates a virtual logbook for every fishing outing out on the water. Shout out to Rocktown Adventures, located in Northern Illinois, for all your kayaking, camping, and hiking needs. Shout out to Jig Masters Jigs. When in doubt, get the jig out. Go to jigmasters.com